So I just want everyone to know that I just destroyed Malcolm in Mortal Kombat just before we started recording here. That's what I'd call that. Yeah, actually.
And honestly, I destroyed you 2 times and actually destroyed you.
But here's the thing. You didn't actually destroy me 2 times, and you're only as good as your last game, right? It's a damn shame when you have to go to the past in order to defend yourself. It's all about the present, baby. It's all about the present, and I'm sure we can all agree on that. No?
I'm sure you couldn't agree on that if it was the opposite situation.
Like, for example, if Pereira lost yesterday, if Pereira lost his title, and he, in the interview with Joe Rogan or whoever interviewed him, said, "Oh, but I defended it 2-3 times," Joe Rogan will be like, "Dude, we're living in the present, pal." So, Malcolm.
It's a good thing it's a video game.
You should sit down. You should sit down.
Malcolm, if you're not already sat.
If you're not already sitting, you should sit.
Also,
I think generally speaking, though, just so we're all on the same page, I think generally speaking, my Kodo is better than your Shao. And I think if we're gonna talk about history, then the past, I've beaten you way more than you beat me.
If we're gonna talk about your Kodo, we're gonna talk about the lack of combinations you use.
Really, the lack of combinations that I use.
You use 3 combinations and then grabs.
Count them.
Grabs.
Tell them. Tell me the combinations. Name them. Name the combinations.
Sword up and then sword down. And then the one with your little sphinx things.
What? What are you talking about?
You like lunge forward with your circle dagger things.
Yeah. So that's 3 combos.
That's 3. Yeah. And then grabs.
Grabs. Then your special moves. And then you also forgot the combo where I end with an overhead. You also forgot the combo where I trip you and I kick you with 2 feet.
That's not only
3. Those are literally combos. If you play Cold Con, you'll see them in the combos section, buddy.
You don't use them.
Yeah. So.
You're a grab hound.
Nice try though.
You're a grab hound.
Nice try though. 3 combos.
You're a grab
every
hound. There's nobody in this Discord call right now that wouldn't say you're a grab hound.
I'm not saying I'm not a grab king or whatever. Every single character that I know, that I claim that I know all their combos, and I use all their combos at some point.
Like Sub-Zero.
Every single one.
Like literally 2 combos on Sub-Zero.
No,
you can't deny
no,
it.
you're so stupid, dude. No.
2 combos.
You're so no.
Yeah.
I can't wait because Matty and Mark and I were talking about maybe live streaming a gaming session, and I can't wait for Mortal Kombat to be one of those gaming sessions. I can't wait so we can have it documented and out there in the public for everyone to see. I'm excited. I'm actually excited. But yeah.
Patrick's excited.
Well, Mark's
relocating again. I was about to say Mark's mom made her first podcast appearance,
Yeah, I'm just trying to find because she wants to cook in the background, but this angle is the only one where it gets the natural lighting on my face. If I sit over there, like half my face is lit, half of it's dark. Then if I flip completely, then it's like completely dark. And
does your mom mind being on the show?
Do you care if you're in the background?
Many people will judge you.
It's up to you. Not many people are gonna see it.
I was gonna say, just let her cook.
We get about.
Mom's like, can we wait 5 minutes so she'll cook something real quick and then go?
Sure.
She's just gonna pan fry something real quick. Yeah, go.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll just jump right to the show then.
I guess that was a cold open.
There you go. That's the cold open.
Okay, Matty, introduce the show and then let me boast. Introduce the show and then let me boast, baby.
Welcome back to episode 82 of Wildly Adequate, the show about anything, everything, and usually nothing. I, as always, am 1/4 of your host and crew, Matthew Urso, and I am joined by Patrick and Mark and Malcolm. If you like the show,
no. You're joined by King Patrick, who just I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. Who just demolished Malcolm.
If you like the show,
in Mortal Kombat just now,
please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a review. We greatly appreciate it.
It's you know what I greatly appreciate that the chatter on Malcolm's end has stopped because there's no chatter left. I think. I'm sorry, I'm being such a dick. I'm just playing around.
The Mortal Kombating, it goes. Anyways,
Anyways,
I think I'll get started.
just
here.
one last one last thing on Mortal Kombat. Sorry,
Please.
before we move on from here. Mark, do you really think that Malcolm's the worst of us?
I actually do, yeah.
You really do.
Yeah.
Malcolm, what do you think about that?
I find that I beat him the most out of the two of you guys. I mean, out of everybody.
Out of everybody, okay.
Yeah. Like I struggle the most, I'd say, with Patrick. I think that I usually lose to your Jade for some reason. That's a tough one for me. Matty and Malcolm are kind of close for me in terms of who I feel like I'd have success against. But it's definitely a standout that when I face you, it's going to be a harder fight for me personally. The stylistic matchup, for some reason, is just the way you fight with your characters is harder for me.
I see. Any comments, Malcolm? No comments? Are you playing Mortal Kombat? I feel like he's playing Mortal Kombat right now. Just fucking close the game.
You'd be mistaken.
I'm mistaken? That you're playing Mortal Kombat? So what are you looking at? What are you looking at so intensely to your right? Dude, we're not idiots.
We're doing a podcast right now.
This guy's such a... Okay, go ahead.
So anyways, I guess by the time this comes out, 11 weeks ago, I did another comic book focused topic, like I had done way back when with the show, many moons ago, where I gave you guys 3 comics, or 1 comic each, I should say, to read, and I wanted to talk about it again. Not 11 weeks later, but shit just kind of kept happening, or like we weren't all together, and etc., etc. But we're finally here. We're finally going to do it. We're finally going to talk comics. Now to recap for the viewers at home, because it's been a while. Malcolm was given Descender. This is the comic book about robots in the far future being sort of genocided against by humanity and various different alien races after these giant, like, planet-sized robots show up in the solar system one day and, like, wipe out millions of people.
Can you ask him if he read it after 11 weeks, if he read it? Can you ask him that question?
Malcolm, did you ever read Descender, first
I
issue?
did read it. Yeah.
You did? Name one thing about the book.
We'll get there. We'll
Name
get
one
there.
thing.
Name one thing, yeah.
We'll get there.
Interesting.
Patrick was given Die. This is the sort of like dark, twisted fantasy Jumanji-like book about the teenagers in the 90s that get sucked into their Dungeons and Dragons game and then come out a couple years later. And then we cut to like 20 years later when they're adults and sort of pick up with where they're at in their lives. And lastly, for Mark, I gave him The Passageway, which is part of the Bone Orchard Mythos horror anthology series. And this was the book about I don't actually know if we talked too much about what this one was beforehand, but the setup is that it's a lighthouse on like a small little island off the coast of wherever, and there's like this big hole in the ground that they can't really explain like what it is, where it came from, or like how deep it goes. So this kind of expert gets called in and comes to the island to see what's up with the hole in the ground. So anyways, would anyone like to start?
I nominate Malcolm.
Well,
Alrighty.
I'm just wondering why he's not looking at anybody while they're speaking.
Yeah, I'm wondering why he's grinding Shao Kahn right now, thinking that's going to make a difference against me next time.
Malcolm, we'll start with you and Descender. I know it's been a bit since, obviously, I'm assuming all of you sort of read your book, so I'm not too worried about the synopsis. I've got the books pulled up on my second screen here, so I can kind of go through some of that, but I'm more so curious, what were your thoughts on Descender? What did you think? What did you like? Or did you like it, I should say?
One thing I liked about it is that those really big guys that destroy the planets remind me of, I think they're called Centennials from Marvel.
Sentinels?
Oh, yes. Yeah, they kind of have a... And I'll throw some images on screen, for the viewers at home, but I'm looking at one of these big boys right now, and yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, and I thought it was... I don't know, it gave me like Marvel vibes, just the whole thing. Like, this one AI bot being left behind on a planet, not really knowing what's going on. And then I don't know if he's a doctor. I think they call him Doctor something. On the like, I don't remember the name of the planet. But he wakes up and they're looking for his help, and they're telling him, oh, like there's one of your like AIs left over on the planet over there. He's like, oh, it's impossible. They're like, they need to find him in order to like try to figure out what's going on with like the planet destruction and who they are, what they want, kind of thing. And
would you recommend other people to read the book?
I mean, I didn't read the whole thing, but the first chapter I read was very cool.
Yeah, so to build off of what Malcolm's saying, basically the setup, like I said, is yes, these giant planet-sized robots show up, kill millions of people, and then like robots become sort of outlawed everywhere and like hunted across the galaxy. And our sort of central character of the book is a little robot boy named Tim, I think 21. And he kind of wakes
Tim
up...
Waltz?
No, not Tim Waltz. Vice President running mate with
Nominee.
Kamala Harris. And so Tim wakes up on this like planet, basically being like, where is everybody? And he kind of stumbles across like the human settlement that was there, and like everybody's dead. And he's like, oh shit, like clearly something's gone wrong. And he bumps into this like robot dog Bandit that like he used to know, kind of thing, before he was like in a coma or like whatever the fuck happened to him, that he's like been sort of offline for like 10 years. And then, yeah, like Malcolm said, in more like the government side of things, these people approach this like scientist dude and they're like, hey, like we think there's something kind of going on worth investigating that we need to look into. And then the issue ends with Tim and the robot dog on this planet seeing like a ship arrive, thinking that like, you know, maybe it's people or help or whatever. But the sort of cliffhanger at the end of this issue is that like it's basically these bounty hunters pull up ready to like kill Tim and Bandit the robot dog, just to like harvest him for parts and, you know, sell what they can for money and shit.
Are you now I need you to keep a straight face here. Are you telling me that they're eating the cats and the dogs? Is that what you're telling me?
They're eating the dogs. No, they're not eating the cats and the dogs in real life or in Descender, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. Descender, it's a very interesting book. It's a cool sci-fi book. The art is very, very good.
I thought Malcolm was supposed to be talking about it.
This is also true. Malcolm, what else do you got?
I mean, I kind of gave you my synopsis. Even the last comic book thing, like you kind of went off a little bit more than each of us, telling us what was going on. So do your thing.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh, it's cool. It's the sequel comic they did to it, Ascender, is also very neat. Even though I think Descender is a little better, but it definitely goes into like some cool...
Fuck you,
it goes into some cool places, and like Tim, the kind of central robot it follows, is very cool, and like some of the people from his past that sort of get reintroduced in different ways is very cool. So it's just an interesting sci-fi book. It's a fun turn on like usually you have like a Terminator or an iRobot, or like I don't really know too much about Battlestar Galactica, but I know that involves like rogue AI and robots and shit too. But usually the idea is that it's like the robots are killing us. So I like in Descender sort of flipping that of like, no, it's humanity and like these other alien, very Star Wars like species like of aliens going out and being like, no, like we have to fucking eradicate all the robots because they might have something to do with the ones that came, you know, a decade ago and like decimated everything, or they might contact them again or do something, you know, so we have to like wipe them out. So it's a neat twist.
It's kind of like Blade Runner, right? Isn't that like Blade Runner where like the replicants are being hunted or whatever?
Yeah, that's one that's more analog to this, where like Blade Runner is obviously, it's not so much, and I know obviously in the first one you have the replicants going after people, but like it's that similar idea where it's more so the robots are sort of like the good guys in quotes, whereas like it's more the humanity kind of being evil as shit and trying to genocide them. But yeah, anyways, Descender, fun little book. Shout out Descender. Who would like to go next? I assume Patrick's pointing at Mark.
Okay.
Sure, Mark. The Passageway. Take us away.
Do you want me to just jump straight in, or do you want to like kind of intro it? Okay. So, The passageway is kind of like, I mean, you described it last time, but it's basically like a part of a sort of anthology series where it's a bunch of different stories that aren't really related, but think of it like kind of like Black Mirror, but a graphic novel version of it. So the one that you chose for me, I don't know. I thought it was really interesting, but I almost wish it had more to it. Like, it introduced some really interesting ideas, but like I read the whole thing. It's like pretty short. And to me, it was interesting because I felt like it dealt with different themes of like past trauma and shit like that, and like being haunted by something in your past. And what I got from it was like this guy who goes to the island to investigate this big hole in the ground. When he like goes down there, he's forced to relive some like horrible shit that's in his mind. So the passageway is almost like a metaphor for like this dark space in your mind that you don't want to go to, that's like scary to think about. I don't really remember. It's been a while. I don't really remember what the horrible thing that he went through was, but it's something like some past traumatic thing. And when he goes down there, it's like this like hellish nightmare where he has to just kind of relive it and think about it and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really cool. I thought it had cool themes. I just felt like it could have gone quite a bit longer, and I wish there was more detail to it and it was fleshed out more. Yeah, but I liked it overall. I'd recommend it to anyone who's a fan of like psychological horror. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, just building off some of that stuff there. Yeah, I really like the passageway. The kind of trauma the main guy's going through is that like his mom drowned when he was a kid, and like when he finds her body floating in the ocean, like these crows and shit have basically like pecked out her eyes. So it's like this horrifying thing he finds. But the book's really cool where, yeah, like he shows up to the lighthouse island and it's the big hole, and he sends like a drone down through it to try and like see how deep it goes or like find the bottom, but like he can't really. And there's like a lady living on the island who's like immediately kind of weird, and like you don't really know what's going on with her. And like he has this kind of nightmare one night, and like just looking at it now, where he like looks out, or he has the nightmare kind of reliving the thing with his mom, but then he looks out the window of like the room he's staying in and whatever, and like the old lady's like out on the rocks, like in the distance, like butt ass naked, just like fucking standing like a goddamn ghoul, like in the distance. And it's like really creepy. And then the next day he kind of goes to check it out again, and there's like this kind of panel reveal where she's like behind him with like a crowbar or whatever, and she like hits him in the back and like shoves him down the hole, like this bottomless fucking pit. And like when he's down there, there's like just creepy kind of like, well, obviously a lot of crows to sort of double down on like the trauma thing he went through. But he goes down there and it's this very like almost Lovecraft, like cosmic horror Cthulhu type shit, where there's like this big doorway with like writing above it, and then when he walks in, it's like just this massive, like almost cathedral like room where there's like all these creepy statues and shit, and there's like some giant like fucking Abraham Lincoln type of statue at the end of it, but it's not Abe Lincoln obviously, but like it's just a big creepy thing. And he winds up getting out of it, like out of this underground place, and kind of back up to the island, where he sort of confronts the creepy old woman and like this guy that she's got and whatever, and he ends up kind of fucking them both up, but like in the process also gets killed and winds up just sort of like dying on the island and whatever. So it's, you know, it's a fun pick-me-up story.
Good one.
But yeah, I really liked it. I
feel
think
good.
The what now?
I was saying it's a feel good.
It's a feel good. What I like about this, and what the sort of this Bone Orchard thing has become, because there's a couple other books. I have one of them up on my shelf here somewhere. I forget where it is. But like, I like the Black Mirror-ness of it, where it's like, it is an anthology thing, but like there's a little reference here or there in some of the books that sort of like tie them together a little bit, which is cool. But what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, to your point, Mark, about like wishing it had a little bit more. Is it one of those like, because there's two ways you could take that point. Is it one of those things where it's like, oh, I wish there was more, in the sense of like, I wasn't quite satisfied or fulfilled, or one of those like the better way of taking it where it's like, oh, that was fantastic, like I wish it kept going, you know, because it was so good, sort of thing?
Honestly, kind of a bit of both. I was like a little bit unsatisfied because I felt like it ended pretty, not abruptly, but yeah, just it was shorter than I thought.
Right.
But I think that the fact that I wanted more meant that I liked it a lot. So I think like it was really interesting. It had a lot of cool ideas, and I wish it just kind of kept pushing them and developing them more. So yeah, it would be basically like the equivalent of watching a movie that I really liked, but it ended after an hour, and I was like, oh, I wish there was like another hour or something.
Right.
So
yeah, that's what I was just curious about, because I know that criticism can go both, or like one of those
I liked
ways,
it a lot.
where like people are like, oh, like that wasn't really satisfying, like I wish there was more, kind of thing. And other times, or even it's like, you know, playing a video game you really like and it ends and it's like, oh fuck, like that was so good, you know, I wish it kept going, kind of thing. Which is also I think
like,
high praise.
Yeah, for sure. I think that because it, for me, it was kind of short, it didn't reach the level of me being like, I love this. Like, I was like, this is interesting, I like this, but then it just ended before I really got to, like, you know, feel really strongly about it.
Right. And that's part of, I think, anthology stuff, too, where it's like, even with Black Mirror, it's like, there's Black Mirror episodes where I watch it or whatever. I'm like, fuck, like, I wish this was, like, a whole series kind of thing and not just the one episode. But I think generally less is more is a good approach, and I think it's better to say about something like, oh, I wish I had more and it kept going, as opposed to like, fuck, there's like 10 hours left of this, like, oh my god, when does it end, kind of thing. So you never want to run into the problem of shit being too long.
Yeah, it's definitely a better problem to have than people, like you said.
Even something that's fantastic, because I know people with Last of Us Part 2, just as an example off the top of my head, and I'm one of these people who are like, Last of Us Part 2, phenomenal game, a little bit too long. And it's like, like, you know, there's things maybe we could have tightened up about it. But anyways, The Passageway. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to go close Michael's bedroom door real quick, because I can hear him, and it's pissing me off. I already feel time.
I'm going to get good with Garrus. I'm going to try to get good with Garrus. I can't get Mortal Kombat off my mind, dude. I just can't do it. I'm enthralled.
With what?
With the book you gave me.
Really? You're not... Yeah, I feel like you're lying to me.
That's what we were talking about.
Patrick, talk to me about Die, please.
So, I do remember that there was one very big criticism I had, and I do remember the criticism.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Instruction...
I'm going to stop you right there, just out of curiosity. Malcolm, you only read the first issue of Descender, I assume? And Mark, I know you read yours just because it was like sort of a one and done. Patrick, how far into Die did you get?
I read the first issue.
That's it?
That's all I read.
Okay. Just as so I know as a baseline, please go on.
Okay. So I read the first issue. You gave a synopsis of that first issue at the beginning of this segment, if you will. But you also gave a synopsis the first time we recorded this. And Matthew, your synopsis was scene by scene, play by play, the entire first issue, Matthew. I was so angry. I was so unbelievably upset.
I don't really remember.
After I finished the first issue, I was like, dude, like, I like this could have been good, and it was trying to be mysterious, but I knew everything that was happening already because I had someone in my life who blabbed out everything.
Damn, I'm sorry. Maybe I over-explained it a little bit, but I know for a fact I left out how the first issue ends.
I don't think you did, Matthew.
I definitely left out that cliffhanger.
I distinctly remember you saying, like, oh, they end up back in the game, and then, oh, they encounter something. And then the thing they encountered was the stupid guy who they left. Like, that was the only thing you left.
Oh, shit. Maybe I did over-explain it a little bit. I apologize for that.
Yeah.
But then so you didn't keep going then?
No, I didn't keep going. No.
Out of what? Just a lack of interest, not caring?
Honestly, dude, I don't know. It was right around the time where, you know, I was getting ready to move and stuff.
Sure.
Here we go.
Explain that one. No, explain that one.
I'm just kidding. I was just, before you said it, I was like, he's going to say that he was moving.
So, yeah. That's all I gotta say.
It's interesting that you say that because, sorry, I'm just.
Are you reading the transcript of the previous episode?
No, but that episode came out August 3rd, which was an entire month before you moved. But
No, it was.
It is what it is.
No. You're right. No, that episode came out August 3rd, but I didn't pick up the book the day after. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, it kept getting pushed back. I'm going to be completely transparent. It kept getting pushed back, and I kept pushing back when I was going to read it.
Sure, this is true. We didn't do the topic right away, like I said in the beginning of this, so sure, I guess there's that. Well, I would hope Die was maybe a slightly better pick.
Listen,
it had like last time.
It had
What were your
potential.
thoughts on it?
My thoughts? I couldn't formulate thoughts on it because, like, I knew everything that happened.
Yeah, but even if you know what happens,
It
like, you
spoiled
think
it for
it's
me.
Good. Yeah, but you can still think it's good or bad, or okay.
What I'll say is it had potential. It had potential, and I perhaps would have kept reading it.
What gave you the what made you feel like it had potential? Like, what did you like about what you had so far?
I thought that it was doing a good job with how it was introducing things, but in the back of my mind, I was like, the only thing I could think was I would like this if I didn't know it was happening. That was literally the only thing I could think of, dude. I swear to God.
Damn. I apologize. I guess
I'm being hard on you, Matthew.
You know
I'm
what?
being hard
I
on
mean,
you,
listen,
but,
in
like,
my defense, I had like just read Die right before giving that to you, like a week or two, and I actually, funnily enough, just finished all of it, like the whole series, a couple days ago. I really, really like Die. I think it's the same. It's similar to the writer here, Kieran Gillen. His other book that I really like, The Wicked and the Divine, where it's like, it's definitely not a tough read, but like it asks you to sort of like keep up with it in a lot of ways. And it's definitely a book that like I don't like reading comics like this normally anyways, but I wouldn't recommend somebody reading this like one issue, month to month. Like, I would recommend reading it kind of like how I did, like let it all finish and then, go through it at a pretty rapid clip, just so you're not doing the thing where like, when you're on issue 10 months in, you're not like, oh, what the fuck happened like 5 months ago when I was on issue 5 or whatever. But yes, Die is very good. Like I said in the beginning, the kids get sucked into the game in like the 90s. 2 years later, they come out, but one of them's missing. And then like 20 years later, the dice from the game kind of show up back into their lives again. And when they get together to figure out what they're going to do with it, they get sucked back into the game again. And the first issue ends with them finding their friend who they left behind for reasons we don't know. And him basically being like, I'm the one that's brought all of you back here kind of thing. And then the rest of the series sort of becomes the 6 of them trying to like beat the game in a quote and like figure out how to get back to Earth and whatever and like get back to their lives because they're all like adults and shit. But there's a lot of really cool stuff in terms of like who each of the characters are and like the characters they made like you would in D&D when they were making the game or playing the game, I should say, and how they like became those characters in the world. So like one of them, his whole thing is that like he's always lucky. So like when they're going into dangerous situations, like he usually comes out fine. The main character, Ash, is a man in real life, but in the game is a woman. So like he's a woman when he enters this world, and he's got a power very preacher-like where he can like talk to people and basically make them do whatever he wants. So he, like his or her voice, I should say, is like her kind of power of being able to manipulate people. Her sister's cool because she's like a cyberpunk character, but like in this fantasy world, which is neat. One of their friends is like a grief knight, so he has this like sword, and like the sadder he is, the stronger he gets, kind of thing. And they play with that a lot. And my favorite, not necessarily my favorite character in the book, but my favorite like character type is this woman Izzy, and her whole thing is that she's like deals with gods. So throughout the book, there'll be times where like they're in a sticky situation, like let's say they're getting surrounded by monsters or some shit, and she'll like call upon one of these gods and be like, listen, I need a favor, like I need you to get us out of here or like kill all these things for us. And all the gods she talks to and makes deals with are always like, yeah, I'll help you out, but like now you owe me something kind of thing. And then like issues later, they'll pop up again at like the most inopportune time and be like, hey, this is what I want right now kind of thing, or like your soul's mine. And they like have to, or she has to sort of, abide by that kind of thing. So her whole setup of like dealing with all these different gods and having ones that she calls upon where it's like, you owe me a favor, or vice versa, where the gods are like, hey, motherfucker, like, I got you out of that jam last time, so now you owe us one. Such a neat, interesting little power set. But anyways, Die. I apologize for, I guess, giving too much away in the first issue. But, you know, I would say check out some of the... Do I have it? Oh, I do. I took it back for you. But I would say at some point, maybe, you know, check it out a little more. See, you know, see what you like. See what you think. Anyways, that was it. My comic books. I'm glad we finally, Jesus Christ, got to talk about all of this. I guess we'll move along.
He's doing it again. He's eating the mic.
He's gonna fucking hurt himself again.
He's gonna fucking... So, I was on the phone with Malcolm earlier today, and he said something kind of absurd to me. But anyways, it's the point isn't what he said, but we're gonna use it as a vehicle here. So, he's walking on the first floor of Square One, I believe, and he says to me, he can smell this restaurant called Roywood's. It's like a Caribbean restaurant upstairs. It's a floor above him, right? And I doubt him. I go, dude, that's physically impossible. There's no way you smell Roywood's. And he says to me, Patrick, I don't think you appreciate how acute my sense of smell is.
He's got strong nostrils.
So immediately, I didn't tell him this in the moment. I was like, Malcolm, you gave me my topic. I was like, that's such a weird brag. Like, what are things that you take a lot of pride in that are like kind of banal or benign, I guess I should say?
So you're asking for some weird
like
flex.
sense of smell.
You're asking for some weird flexes, okay, type of things.
Weird flexes. I couldn't believe you said that, Malcolm. Oh my god. Also physically impossible that you smelt it. Physically impossible. Listen, Roywood's is an amazing smell, but I think your mind played a trick on you. You're a whole floor below. Couldn't have happened. Just couldn't have happened. But yeah. So
Weird brags?
Yeah. So
I mean, I was talking to you, Patrick, earlier about this. I don't know if it's too vague or not or whatever, but I feel like for me, I get a gut feeling about certain things, and I feel like a lot of the times when I have a gut feeling, it ends up being correct about whatever it is. Whether it's like I feel like weird about a person, and then like later it turns out that they're kind of shitty or whatever, or they're like it happens to me a lot where I'm like, there's not quite enough information to actually make a fair judgment about somebody, but like, you know, I might have a feeling and then it ends up being true. So I feel like I trust my gut about that sort of stuff sometimes, even though it's, you know, kind of silly and not scientific at all. But
5 years ago, Mark was like, I don't know about this Diddy guy.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about him.
And nobody listened. Weird brags. That's such a like specific.
He goes, I don't know about this Diddy guy. It looks like he really likes baby lotion.
Oh,
anyways.
God.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think there's many things that I would necessarily like brag about to begin with. But in terms of like,
real quick,
Please.
did The Simpsons predict Diddy?
I don't know. Everybody thinks The Simpsons predicted everything.
I know there was a South Park thing that came out like many years ago where they were doing like a song like I think the song is called Diddy Did It.
In South Park?
Yeah, like my boss was showing it to me, and it was like this whole musical number where it's like, the whole idea is that, I don't know, I've never watched the show really, but it's like one of the kids eating dinner with his family, and they're talking about like the new election coming up and who's gonna vote and whatever, and the kid is like, I'm not voting, like I'm not trying to pick between a douchebag and an asshole or whatever, like they're both horrible. And then basically what happens, like the family's like, no, you have to vote. It's like your civic duty and whatever. And if you don't vote, like Diddy's gonna come for you. And then Diddy pulls up to the house, and he's like with his crew or whatever, and he like does a whole musical number about how he's gonna kill him if he doesn't vote.
Jesus, oh my goodness.
But yeah, so I don't know. They didn't really have talk, especially about the sexual stuff, but they did kind of talk about Diddy being weird, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really keep up with celebrities and stuff. This particular case has gotten pretty big.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are coming out about how Diddy's always shown like signs of violence. And there are bare people, whenever a scandal like this comes out, there's always bare people that say, oh, everyone knew, everyone in Hollywood knew kind of thing. And what do you guys think about that?
Have you seen
Every single scandal, everyone knew?
Oh, that always pisses me off because it like just highlights how like awful so many of these people are. Which is why when people are like so up some celebrities' asses, I don't understand. Like, I get being a fan of like their work, or like, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger is always going to make me laugh when he talks about pumping being just as good as coming. And like, obviously I love, you know, Predator and Terminator and like all the shit he's done. Like, I am a fan of him, but like, I'm not walking around worshiping the fucking ground he walks on. And that's when like, I just don't get why so many people are like, oh, like this celebrity or this musician or blah, 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 blah. And then, yeah, like a Diddy thing comes out. It's like, yeah, everybody fucking knew about this.
Yeah.
And then if it's like, well, then why did nobody fucking say anything?
You know what's interesting is seeing interviews that he's done now. Like, there's one clip that he does with like Justin Bieber and him are on a talk night, a late night show. I don't know whose show it is. Have you seen this, Patrick? Because like Matty's nodding. He's seen it. Have you seen this? Oh, where's Patrick?
Oh, did we lose Patrick? Oh, there he is. He's still here.
Oh, there he is. Okay, so basically Diddy... I was saying, so Diddy was on a show, a late night show with Justin Bieber. And Justin Bieber starts talking about this Lamborghini or whatever, driving it. And then Diddy goes on this like little 30-second thing being like, oh, I told you not to talk about the kind of stuff that we do at our parties or when we go out or whatever. And it's like so obviously like weird, but I guess... And the audience is laughing like it's normal. I guess because like, yeah, no, a lot of people had no idea and they thought he was just being like, oh, we're kind of getting crazy, so don't talk about it. But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty weird.
Did anyone see the video of P. Diddy in the hotel with his girlfriend? And his girlfriend's like at an elevator, and he runs out from around the corner, hits her, and then drags her back to the room.
Oh, I think so. I think I saw that somewhere.
It's like security. It's like security cam footage, and it's like he's just going down the hall dragging her.
Yeah, I don't know. I know this is completely not what your topic was, Patrick, but the one thing is, yeah, to me, it's just shit like that frustrates me because it just illustrates, like, how shitty so many of these people are that, like, run around, you know. That's why, like, when people talk or, like, cheer on celebrities for coming out and being like, you know, I'm, like, against poverty or whatever, and, like, people want to give them fucking and people want to give them, like... And people want to give them, like, pats on the back about shit, or, like, when people get mad at celebrities for, like, not speaking out about stuff, I'm like, why do you want these fucking people to talk about anything? Because, like, a decent chunk of them are, like, either, like, know evil shit and don't say anything about it, or, like, directly take part in it.
Dude, have you seen the Dave Chappelle bit about it? Where he's talking about Ja Rule?
Oh, yeah, that, like, old
really,
9/11 thing.
Yeah, I guess Ja Rule is a rapper. Is he part of Wu-Tang or something? I think.
I don't know.
But basically, the clip is Dave Chappelle doing a stand-up comedy bit, and he's like, he was watching like 9/11 happen on the TV, and then the newscasters were like, okay, we got Ja Rule on the line. Let's see what he has to say about this tragedy. And then he comes on. He's like, I don't give a fuck what Ja Rule has to say about 9/11. He's like, imagine like something horrible happening to you. And it's like, God, like, someone get Ja Rule in here. Like, I need to make sense of this. Like, I need to figure out what's going on here.
Somebody get Ja Rule in. Malcolm and I were just talking about this as well, though. Malcolm, what were we saying earlier about celebrities? Something about the election.
Oh, I saw that, what's her name? Maya Hawke posted on Instagram that she voted for Kamala Harris because she believes in democracy, and any vote that isn't voted goes right to Trump.
Well... Yeah, so we were talking about celebrities in general, and that's sort of what brought it up for us. And
the idea that were like, can like you celebrities please stop posting propaganda and just stick to acting?
Just the general idea we were talking about was kind of like along those lines of, you know, it's a little silly to base your vote on a celebrity's
Sure.
I mean, it could be a celebrity that's well informed, but like Matty said, a lot of them are these interesting folks.
You know where it's tough though is because like obviously she has freedom of speech. She can post about whatever she wants. She can post trying to push a movie to everybody or whatever. She could push a political agenda or whatever. You may make the argument that that's kind of a bad thing to do because you have so much influence, but at the same time it's like you could use your influence however you want to use it, as long as you're not harming people technically. So
yeah, you can use your influence however you want, but I think people should be more critical than to just be like, oh, and I'm not saying I'm not making a comment on her political endorsement. I'm just saying people shouldn't vote for someone because X is voting for them.
If your fucking opinion is influenced by what Ja Rule or Maya Hawke thinks, then it's like, what the fuck are you doing? But no, I had this conversation not like a few months ago or over the summer or whatever, with Lemma at work, Patrick, where hi Lemma, I don't know if you still watch, but I was saying to her, because like she had brought up the whole like thing that people were bringing up where it's like, oh, someone like Taylor Swift, for example, hasn't like said anything about like what's going on in the Middle East. And I'm like, why do any of you care? Why does anyone care or want her to say anything about like the Middle East? And Lemma was making the point
she doesn't
of, like,
know it.
What Lemma was making the point of like, oh, but she's got like this platform and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, but there's nothing Taylor, like she's not gonna come out tomorrow and be like, Israel has to stop, and fucking Netanyahu's gonna wake up in his bed in a cold sweat and be like, stop everything, like pull all the troops out. Fucking
Taylor has spoken.
Like
Taylor has spoken.
And my point was just that like, which people can disagree with, but I think holds some water, is like, if you want like the U.S. election, for example, Taylor Swift wasn't saying anything about that, and then there were all these like fucking AI songs and images coming out of like either her and like Trump stuff or like her fans and Trump stuff, and it's like they forced her hand to finally come out and say something, and she endorsed Kamala Harris and was like, I'm voting for Kamala Harris, which is like fine, whatever, and she said you should go out and vote, and like the next day it was like 300,000 fucking people or something like that insane in the States like registered to vote. That to me is an example of not something you should necessarily like demand or expect out of celebrities, although I get the sort of like responsibility argument, but that to me is an example of like, sure, there should be people of that level out there being like, and obviously she gave an endorsement, but I'm not even saying that, just being like, hey, like it's important that you go vote, and then 300,000 people sign up. No problem with that. Works perfectly fine. Great. But like, to me, what I was saying to Lemma about the whole like Middle East thing, where it's like, there's nothing, her tweeting about it isn't going to have the same thing that it did with like people registering to vote. Like there's nothing.
Well, you have to ask yourself why. Taylor Swift, yes, has a huge worldwide following. I would say her fans are more so concentrated in the West and specifically in America.
Sure.
So first point is that the most influence she has is going to be in America.
Yes.
Second point is that celebrities have no bearing on international
and this was my counterpoint, where it's like people like to rag on celebrities about shit for either like saying the wrong thing or not saying anything at all or this, that, and the other thing. And like my point to Lemma was like, wouldn't it be infinitely more effective to, instead of harassing her online, and I'm not saying you should harass anybody, but you know what I mean, like pester your fucking local congressperson and like get in their ear about shit and be like, hey, me and however many thousands of your constituents that you represent are going to vote your ass out in the next election unless you in Congress like take steps towards doing something to get the Biden administration to like, condemn them or stop sending money or stop sending arms or like any number of things. I'm like, that would be well worth your time to like pester somebody about. But I was like, but people don't want to do that because that's hard and requires time and effort and work. So instead they'd rather just shoot out a tweet being like, I can't believe Taylor Swift, I can't believe Ja Rule hasn't commented on the Middle East kind of thing. And then like that solves anything. But it's like,
but also I feel like,
where's Ja?
Where's Ja?
Where the hell is Ja on this? No, but I feel like people should lean on the side of not wanting someone like that to speak out on a conflict like that, because I'm making an assumption here, and I could be wrong in this assumption, but I don't think she knows anything about the conflict, the history of it, or the
Well, even if
specifics
she
of what's
does,
going
she
on
also
now.
doesn't really have a horse in the race. That would be like
She
if
doesn't have
people
a
were
horse in
going
the
to her and being like, trying to rally her to like,
Sure.
black people in America and like the shit they have to go through kind of thing. And that would be
Sure,
like, Taylor,
sure, but
like
at the
help us
very
out.
least-
But it's like she doesn't
Sure,
have a
but at-
dog in the race.
Sure, but at the very least, if she was knowledgeable on the issue, then she could give a meaningful input into
Sure.
the issue if she was knowledgeable on it.
An educated
But I don't think she can give-
response.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and
But-
can she do that? We don't know, but
Maybe.
let's assume probably not.
Don't think so.
And it's like, I also just don't get the thing of like expecting an actor or a pop star like to worry about these things or like do these things. Like why? I don't understand it.
I think it almost falls in the same category when someone's like pretty wealthy, and then everyone shits on them for not donating as much as they think personally. Like, oh, you should have donated this much.
I saw
like-
something. Sorry, you go, Mark. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I've seen people like shit on people, like on Bill Gates, for example, being like, oh, you should do more. It's like he's doing stuff. Like everyone who's like, you see a lot of these like super rich people have all these organizations and stuff, and then yet no matter how much they might give, people are still upset about it. And it's like, oh, like why aren't you focused on this issue? It's the same thing. It's like you go to I've seen celebrities pages who are like, again, like artists, singers, whatever. It's like why have you not commented whether you're a Zionist or not? And it's like, this is so strange to just like, I don't know. It's just odd to me.
What I was gonna say about that is I saw a lot of backlash when Oprah and Dwayne The Rock Johnson made like a little commercial or ad, whatever, for like the wildfires in Hawaii or the fires in Hawaii, saying like, oh, like please help donate some money to like with the like reforming of neighborhoods and the people that were affected by it. And all the comments are, you're both literally billionaires and you're asking us for our money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that shit.
I think it's because people think you could just throw money at any problem and it fixes the whole thing. Like for some reason, that's the perception that like, and of course, money is insanely powerful and can lead to a lot of change. But like, I don't know. I personally don't just assume that you can throw millions of dollars at a problem and it's automatically fixed. I don't think it's that easy. I really don't. So I think these people are being short-sighted a little bit.
Yeah, and to me, it's just to Malcolm's point too, because I remember hearing about that. Yeah, it is just a thing where it's like them asking for money in that situation from like ordinary people. Like to me, I don't know. To me, it just goes back to like, I get that people like celebrities, and it's like, oh, you see fucking Ryan Reynolds on like Colbert or whatever, and it's like they have a funny interview, yay, and like everybody's all happy, and it's like, I like some of these people, I respect them as artists and blah blah blah, but it's like I just don't get the like pedestal that like society puts.
Well, you just don't get it,
people
and I
on.
think that's the.
They just like put these people on these pedestals and then like expect them to
There's a
like
conflation.
have all the answers or like solve the world's
And
problems.
that's exactly what it is.
And I'm like,
There's a
that's not
conflation.
fair to them. And why would you like expect that? Like you're aiming your kind of attention at like the wrong people. Like your attention
Yeah.
should be on the rich people and like the powerful people and people in government and all this shit.
Well, it's often these people intersect those titles that you just threw out there. Often they intersect with celebrities, and people conflate celebrities with being, I guess, they're talented in one domain, and then they extrapolate out. So I want to hear their opinion on all these other domains. But just because you're good in one thing doesn't mean
But
you can.
You know
speak
why?
on others.
You know why I think that happens though is because they're in a very they're in the most public domain that you could ever be in. Like if you saw like for example like researchers in the public eye all the time and they were like the most popular people in society.
Oh, dude.
People.
Let's shift to that world, huh?
Yeah, right. People equate popularity with like, well, you must have gotten to this insanely high point where everybody sees you because you're just brilliant. You're fantastic.
Yeah, you're brilliant at everything. Exactly.
So, like,
you must be great at business. You're great at acting. Yeah. Your personal life must be great too. Like you seem so happy.
I think people assume that, but I think people will be surprised to see like a billionaire celebrity or like one of the A-list celebrity like actors of today, and if they saw like their personal life, they might be like, oh shit, like they're actually like complicated people and they're kind of ignorant on some issues. They're smart on other issues, just like everybody. Like
Which
just like a doctor might be like really dumb in some ways, but like brilliant in other. Like, you know, it's like everyone's always.
You're telling me a fucking PhD is gonna know how to beat Bloodborne? Get the fuck out of here! You leave that to the real heroes like us.
Yeah, we got it. We'll take it from here.
Yeah. And what's interesting is with the rise of streaming, I think a lot of people are getting to see different sides of these celebrities, but specifically with celebrities who stream.
Yeah.
For example, like iShowSpeed, or perhaps a Jack Doherty, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
These people are, streaming a lot. They're streaming a lot of time, and there's bound to be like real stuff, I guess, or like personal stuff that seeps into those things, and it's seen. So
yeah.
Anyways, a stupid thing I bragged about at one point.
Boy, is this still a topic?
And I was actually gonna throw one out, Patrick. Remember when, like, I don't know if this was, I think this was with me and you, but we were listening to a song in your car, and there was like a specific sound effect that had happened during the song.
Okay.
And I pointed it out. I was like, oh, I like how in this song they have this sound effect. Oh, you know what it was? I know exactly what it was. We were in my car. No, it was Superheroes and what, like that Future or Metro Boomin album.
The rap. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the song with the Homelander speech in it.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Matty? That
a superhero.
There's a really popular rap song, and they have like, they insert Homelander's whole speech about how he's like better than everybody. Like, he's talking about how he's better than everybody. Like, they insert it into the song, and it's really cool. But Patrick, remember there's a part of the song where there's like a car revving, and I was like, that's such a cool, like the car revs up or whatever, and you were like, I didn't hear that, and I was like, you didn't hear that, and you were like, yeah, that's, how the hell did you hear that? And so I feel like sometimes I pick up on like little audio details sometimes. I'm like, I listen very, very carefully, and I often listen to songs like 10 million times, so like, I don't know. That's not really a skill, I guess, but it's just, I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh, I picked up on that little thing that maybe is not as obvious, you know? Yeah,
I thought you were going to say that you have an unusual ability to hit certain notes.
No.
Like when we're in the car. No, but you actually do. No. But you actually do. There's some songs where we're sitting there, and you won't sing any part of the song, but there'll be this one note that's like difficult to hit, and you'll just hit it, and then you will stay silent for the rest of the song.
but it doesn't. I think I can maybe match a note, but I can't like sound very good, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the note that you do get is good.
I mean, I guess in a slightly similar vein, the only thing I was gonna mention is like a weird brag. And Patrick, by the way, I think I'm just changing your topic to celebrities when I
you do what you gotta do,
and this will just be sprinkled in there. I guess in a slightly similar vein, I would maybe say like, and it's not a brag, really, but like I guess it's just something weird that like I guess it is what it is, but like my, let's say, extensive knowledge, useless as it may be, of like nerdy shit, where it's like the wealth of like random film shit or music or games or comics, like I have all this fucking useless junk floating around.
Wait. Can I play devil's advocate?
Please.
You didn't do very well on Vorsh's trivia thing for like names.
That was film terms. I'm talking about like movies themselves.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna pick and choose. You just said film stuff.
All right. Well, you know, it is what it is. But what I'm saying is, I feel like that would be something where like your average person, let's say, or even somebody who's like into the same shit I am, might not have like necessarily that same. Again, it feels weird calling it a brag because it's probably just like, you know, symptomatic of
it's sad
like
more than anything else.
Yeah, like it's sad and probably emblematic of my, you know,
I think
mental illness or whatever. But like,
I think you said something. I think you said something important about like greater than the average person at something. Because I think like I have some things where they're not even impressive at all, but like maybe the average person wouldn't know it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like for example, like I have like at least 10 different like random facts about like something happening in a movie that wasn't supposed to happen or some shit. Like I always like cite the whole thing of like Leonardo DiCaprio breaking his hand and like or bleeding in Django Unchained when he cut his hand on the thing, or like there's some that a lot of people know, but like not everybody knows it. So like you might have, for example, like this weird specialist knowledge where I don't think I have it when it comes to movies, but like Matty was saying, like for that kind of nerdy stuff, like maybe some people know it, but on average he's you know, he's up there.
Yeah, so I don't know.
You're in the top 0.5%.
There you go. Yeah. So I guess that's like my weird brag. I don't know. Is that
My-
I got all this
my-
fucking nonsense?
My weird brag, and I don't even think it holds true anymore, but a couple of years ago when I was still an undergrad, I was taking a stats course, and they forced us to learn how to do this particular test by hand. It's called analysis of variance, short-termed ANOVA.
Oh, I hate that shit, dude. I hate that.
And I got really good at doing it. And I was bragging. I was actually bragging to Mark one day, and he goes, "You should change your Instagram bio to I'm
ANOVA
crazy at ANOVAs or like something like that, something
yeah.
cringy as hell about ANOVAs."
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna change my bio. So for a period of time, my Instagram bio was like, I'm crazy good at ANOVAs. Oh, that's what it was. Like, I'm like crazy good. I'm like verbatim. I'm like crazy good at ANOVAs.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyways,
Like here's another one. Because I watch UFC on these weird ass streams, I'm literally unbelievably good at Xing out the ads and going back a million times. You've seen me do it like 10 times in a row, and like I could get it done relatively quick. But like sometimes I watch someone else try to do it, and it's like way slower, and I'm like, dude, I'm a fucking expert at that. Like,
Dude, I've been
I can
jumping
close it and
back.
get back. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been jumping back at trying to stream Premier League, and I can say for a fact I'm not as fast as you. Like, dude, it's so
It's
annoying.
so
Like,
annoying. I know.
my coordination isn't like fine tuned yet. Give me a few more weeks, I'll be there.
But I think it depends on if you're using a mouse, like a touchpad or a mouse or whatever. Like I've gotten so used to my touchpad, I don't use a mouse, so I'm just like boom, 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 boom. I got it.
Bing, bang, boom.
Bing, bing, bang, boom.
And my last unusual skill is, and then we can get out of here, is destroying Malcolm at Mortal Kombat.
there you go.
Oh.
That's my last.
Special skill.
Nice little skill. Only he's got.
Although it
skill,
isn't
baby.
although it isn't special because we've all beaten him, right? So so how's that special? You think?
This poor guy's getting hammered on.
Poor Malcolm.
Wait. Why is
Defend
that,
yourself,
wait,
Malcolm.
why is that a diss? Everybody's beating everybody.
I didn't take any offense to that. Like everyone's beating everybody.
No. I wasn't trying to
Okay,
slight him
okay.
specifically.
I thought you
I'm just
were.
saying-
I
I'm
thought
just
you were
saying-
trying to.
I'm saying
yeah.
we've all beaten him. Everybody's beaten me. Everybody's beaten Patrick. It's not special
Yeah.
skill.
No, I thought you were saying it's not special skill because we all consistently beat him like crazy, and
Well, I
he's
didn't
like
say
really bad.
consistently.
Like
Right.
crazy.
I didn't say that right.
Like I extrapolated.
Anyways,
What do you guys think is like the period of your life that lasted the longest, or that you have like a memory of lasting incredibly long, versus like what's a period of time that felt super short for you? Because I'm thinking like in different periods, like for example, like I'll set it up real quick before you go, Patrick. Like for example, college/university period, which some of us are still kind of technically in, but like we could say like undergrad period, you know, like that 4 years after high school versus the high school period versus elementary school versus pre-elementary school. Like which period do you kind of feel like lasted a long time, or has that changed for you?
So my undergrad feels like it's lasted the longest because
interesting.
first things first, I didn't graduate on time. I extended it by 2 years. Second, we lived through COVID, and that just made my why is there? I didn't press anything. How did
what
that
the
happen?
hell was that?
Is it because you said COVID?
COVID?
COVID.
We lived through COVID.
I know on the iPhone, if you do certain things, like things will happen, but does it do that on Discord too?
Balloons, throw balloons. Up.
Balloons. Celebration.
Balloons.
Dude, someone's messing with me. Someo's messing with me.
I
Who
swear
did
to
it?
God, I didn't. I
Who did it?
I didn't even
Someone's
know that
messing
was
with me.
possible. Let me see if there's a possibility. To do
I
that.
didn't know you could put effects on
No.
someone else's screen.
No, there's no way you can.
What?
I can't.
I don't know what
How
you
the
did,
hell do you do
Patrick,
that?
but you know.
Anyways.
Anyways.
That was so weird. Okay, that was so weird. Anyways.
Birthday. It's not working.
Oh,
This is a duck.
Oh, there's a duck on Malcolm's screen. So yeah, it's the extension of my degree, living through COVID. But the real answer is going to be me grouping my undergrad and this period now with my PhD. It'll just be the university is going to be the longest time for me. I'm still living it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it just feels too weird, dude. I feel like I should be in the next part of my life, getting married, settling down.
Good Lord.
You know.
Yeah. It's interesting that you felt that COVID was like long though.
It was long and joyful.
COVID was extreme.
And I know that's
Joyful.
And I know that's an unpopular opinion. I want to
No,
preface
I
what I
don't think it
just
is.
said.
I don't think it was.
You don't think
it was
Dude.
joyful for us who were children and lived under our parents' roofs?
Yeah, dude, but so
exactly.
many, I've heard this exact perspective that COVID was like blessed. Like God, I wish we can go back to COVID where we could just kind of like have a period of time where we could just sit inside and just play games for 24 hours. Like people miss COVID, dude.
This is. I'm just gonna make my thinking transparent here.
Mm.
This was my perception of COVID, and I do acknowledge that some people went through a hard time, whatever. But my experience of COVID, getting paid $2,000 a month because I qualified for the
Dude,
payments.
the government's gonna see this and take the money back.
I qualified for the payment. I qualified CRA, so getting paid, playing soccer every single day. We made a whole group of like a bunch of people we didn't really know, and we play King's Court every single time we'd go out. We'd go play King's Court. It was so fun. Grinding video games all day as well.
Sweating, playing Overwatch for 24 hours, dude.
Personally, I was working out at that time, so I felt pretty good. Eating whatever the hell I wanted from Uber Eats, skip the dishes,
Oh my God.
whenever I wanted.
Patrick, why on earth are your hands so wet right now?
Are they?
They look.
Kinda hard to
His
tell.
hands always look just clammy.
They're
and
glistening.
No, it's because of the light. The light's right here.
Red. Nah,
You know what I'm saying?
he's got those hands.
I was gonna say it looked like you dipped your fingertips in like a water drip, like a water bottle.
Okay, you're derailing us here.
An oil drum.
Sorry.
An oil,
You
dude's
go
oil
ahead,
drum.
Sorry,
That's
sorry,
it.
Sorry.
No, I was
Sorry.
kidding. I was
He took
kidding.
a full body dip
Sorry.
in.
I was kidding.
his oil drum.
Sorry.
Oops.
I get what you're saying about the COVID stuff, where like, I think what
Dude,
people
I know
are
you
really
loved COVID,
longing
dude.
For, what
I know
people
you
are
loved
really
COVID,
longing
Matthew.
For is like
Matthew, make a
time
stance
off.
right now. Did you love it or did you not love it?
I personally liked it, but I didn't. I don't want to go back to COVID.
Yeah, you did.
If somebody
you
told
did.
me like, hey, you could have all the time off and like just fuck around, but like you could still go to a restaurant or like the movies and not have to wear masks and shit. Like, yeah, that would obviously be the best of both worlds. But
True.
I get like the sort of longing for that time. But related to COVID, I was gonna say that to me, college, those 4 years felt so short because of COVID, because I only got 2 years or like 1.5-ish kind of, and then like, or that's not fair, it was basically 2 years, and then like all of third year was remote, and then fourth year was like
You got
sort of
bungled out of your project.
hybrid. Yeah, and I got bungled out of my project, but it was like sort of hybrid. So it's like college just felt like it went by so fast, and like I didn't get to totally enjoy it as I would have liked to. So that time definitely went by fast. I would say high school felt like a long time,
Of course, you would say that.
even though it's like literally 4 years like college was. But I think the time didn't seem in the moment, like looking back on it now, high school feels like it was a blip on the radar. But like in the moment, it didn't feel like the time was going so fast. Like it felt like...
Was it because you kept getting atomic wedgied in the washroom every other week?
I was not getting atomic wedgied in the washroom, but thank you for bringing that up.
Not every other week.
1950s bully.
Not every other week.
Nuh-uh. But like... So I don't know, like, and I guess literally speaking, like elementary school would be the longest, like in actuality.
what
but that
felt
also
the
feels
longest?
like
It's interesting.
What felt the longest though? Like despite it being actually the longest.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Where it's
Come
like,
on, idiot.
I think it would be like I think it would be the high school time, because even elementary school, you're a kid and it doesn't really register. Whereas like high school, I was old enough to like be thinking about that shit. So high school would probably be the time that felt the longest for me.
It's interesting because I feel like for me, whatever's the most recent or current time feels like the longest. I feel like if I think back to elementary school, it was literally like a flash. I don't remember, because I think my memory for like my long-term memory isn't fantastic. So when I think back to elementary school, I think of a few moments and that's it. So it just feels like a blip to me, like a millisecond. I think for me, maybe it might have been my undergrad, because I feel like I was so bored at Guelph.
Yeah,
I
Guelph
was
is
just
kind of
like-
ass.
I just remember my long bus rides, like at night, trying to get back home to Milton, and it was just like dark, and I was just sitting in the bus, just like real not happy. But yeah, I don't know.
I think that's the
feel
popular opinion, though, Mark.
what, undergrad or that or
About
Guelph?
Guelph. Yeah, like I think
What?
few people are
I
staunch
hear-
supporters
I
of
hear
Guelph.
I hear the opposite. I hear a lot of people. Most of the time when I talk to people,
Patrick being silly.
I know, but I'm saying
Let him
most
say it.
people,
Let him speak.
most people that I talk to are like, they like Guelph quite a bit. But for me personally, it wasn't. I like the more big city kind of university. Like I like York a lot because it's like pretty close to downtown, and the campus feels like a small city, whereas Guelph kind of felt like a country.
A lot of
country town.
farmers, right?
Yeah.
That's weird.
A lot
I'm
of-
the opposite. I love Guelph campus.
Oh, okay. You loved Guelph campus?
I love Guelph campus, and when I did visit, like the York Kiel campus, like I was so thrown off, I just wanted to leave like immediately.
Oh, okay. When did you visit York Kiel campus? Other than the time we went to see Bella's, watch the thing for Bella,
Oh god.
and I still can't believe you wrote me into that. I
What
still can't
was-
believe you wrote me into
Dude,
that.
I'm
What
so
was-
glad I
what
had
was the
a
part?
built-in excuse.
I wish you were
Worst experience of my life, dude.
What
Honestly,
was
if
the-
Mark
what
was
was the
there, we would
last
have gotten
thing?
kicked out.
What
If
was
Mark
the
was there,
last
we would have gotten kicked out.
We were talking about that the whole time. If Mark was sitting next to us and just gave any one of us like a look like
Mark would have said something. Mark would have said something backhanded, and we would have been fucking kicked out and fined, probably. Like,
Oh boy.
What was wacky about that presentation? Was it that they were like barking or something?
they were barking at some point. They were growling at some point. I can't even. It's just your stereotypical art, like, student.
Shout out to the artsy stuff.
Crap,
Malcolm's cramping and dying. To your point, though, Mark, it's funny that you say that the most recent shit feels like the longest, because to me, I feel like, and I've always, I guess, sort of self-identified as like an old man in a younger man's body. But I'm already, and I've been this way for a while now, but I'm already at the point where I just feel like time's flying so
Yeah.
fast. Like, even when I think about this year, and I'm like, holy fuck, like, it's already, we're into October, and it feels like, I remember New Year's, like, going into 2024, like, it was fucking yesterday. And it's like, I can't believe how
Can I
fast
make
the
a-
year
What'd you have for lunch? What'd you have for
Wait,
lunch
wait.
that day?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
Can
like
I-
it was yesterday. Go on.
I
Mark.
wanna make a quick joke that I laughed at for myself. Matty, can you say what you said about something you feel like something else internally?
I feel like an old man, like, in a younger man's body.
Yeah, with the erectile dysfunction to boot. Go ahead.
Exactly.
That was the joke that I laughed to myself.
I'm
about.
impotent.
Nice. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like even now, where it's like, it just feels like time's just marching along, even though there are so many times I'm like, I wish it would just slow down.
Yeah, it's interesting that we all divided up our eras based on school.
Yeah, right.
Not necessarily the case. Like you,
our whole entire lives up until this point.
Yeah.
well, you can divide it in different ways. Like Matty could have thought of it in terms of like his work era.
But it's just easier.
Starting at the pool
I know.
to-
I get what you're trying to do here, but it's not working. No, I'm just kidding.
It's because
No,
like,
all I was
Malcolm
gonna
said,
say-
school's
I'm
so
muting
dominant.
myself.
Oh, but
Muting
I think-
myself.
No, I get what you're saying, but I also think that it's just the easiest classification. I don't think it really
Yeah.
says much deeper than that. I just think that our lives are split in a way that like overlaps perfectly with school. You know, it's just like the childhood, and then I don't know. It's like every
I mean,
phase
you
that
can
starts.
speak for yourself. My life is a little more exciting than that, but you can speak for yourself.
What? Well, I didn't imply that school is my life.
My life is a little more exciting than that.
Well, I got a little bit more going on, but
You're an asshole.
What, Malcolm, what was your answer to this, like, the longest time?
this
Sorry, what was the
episode.
question?
Dude, how does
The
Malcolm
longest-
always?
The longest, like, what
Longest
felt like
episode.
the longest time of your life?
No,
When we
no.
were-
Can
when
I
we
just
did-
jump in real quick?
When we were watching
How
The
does-
Substance.
How does when we're watching The Substance? How does Malcolm always manage to like appear weird? Like whether it's live, he leans back and his head is like cut off out of frame, or whether we're doing video, he's like
What- he's
barely
bottom
in
left-
frame.
he's bottom left corner right now.
corner.
I'm just trying to become. It's so uncomfortable sitting at my desk.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I think I'm gonna have to say my undergrad because my undergrad was also extended.
Dude, your undergrad was Michigan, Guelph, and then extended too.
Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, it was Michigan, Guelph, and then extended Guelph.
Yeah,
It was
that's
great.
a lot.
And then on top of that, COVID and online school, which an online school was the longest fucking thing ever. It was the worst. The goddamn
Honestly,
worst.
you know, I think a lot of us feel that way because of, like you said, like the online shit. I think made it worse because we went from being in person. I think if we just did one straight shot 4 years in person, it would have felt way faster than like in person, than online, then we're back to in person. It feels like 3 different journeys. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah. Dude, you know what's so messed up? Doing tests online, the amount of stories I heard where professors would purposely put a question that they never taught and they knew the students wouldn't be able to answer based on what they taught, and anyone who answered the question correctly, automatic fail, because they knew that they went and searched online.
But is it a multiple choice or a short answer? Because you could just
short
guess
answer
it properly.
Short answer.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, well, if you explained it.
It's like a true or false, and they're like, oh, you got it right. Fuck you.
Yeah.
No,
it's like it was
imagine
50-50.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I heard so many cases where the professor would do that, and half the class, more than half the class, failed the test.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's scary.
That's how scary is that? I'm so happy that in our school they were like, okay, for like the vast majority of the tests, they're like, you guys are at home. We're gonna make the tests harder, but you can use your notes. So that was.
I honestly,
It's not that
I
being
thought that.
told to use your notes would let you use your notes. But
What?
I honestly, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say I honestly thought that open tests and just like being able to use my notes during COVID was gonna be great, but I every single time preferred having a closed book thing where they were proctoring it, and I actually had to like study properly and memorize stuff, because then
Honestly?
I actually was so prepared and I did really well. If it was open book, I would prepare less, not memorize or understand stuff deeply, and then I would go into it like scrambling through my notes, and then panic would start to build, and I'd do worse overall. Like I literally took a fucking like easy elective, and I think I got like a 60 something, as opposed to like my genetics course was all proctored and I couldn't cheat, so I actually worked hard at it and I got a much better mark. So like yeah, I don't know, that was my experience there.
Yeah, well, similar with what you just said, they did it so that, you know, you could use your notes or whatever. Most of our tests were like that. But then once we went back to in person, I remember the first test that I had to do, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to have my notes. They're not going to let us do that anymore. Like every single test after that, I killed it, dude. Every single one. I went back to that whole like, okay, you actually have to know your shit kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I did appreciate that.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I'll say before we can move on to Malcolm here is like, conversely, I think the shortest period of my life, and it lines up with my theory of like the most recent stuff feeling the longest. I feel like the shortest period was like super young. Like that time felt like nothing to me. Like I don't really remember much of it, so I feel like my life starts like, I don't remember much before Milton, which is weird. Like I was in Mississauga up until like grade 4. I literally remember almost nothing about before that. So that part of my life feels super short to me. I don't know if you guys have the same experience of like your young life be feeling really short or not, but yeah. All right, cool. Perfect.
All right,
No, I
thanks.
think it depends. Like, there's parts of it that feel longer than others, you know? I guess it's the stuff that just, like, that I can remember a little more clearly, whereas, like, the stuff that I can't is just, like, feels like it barely even happened, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, times of our lives.
Okay. Cool.
Anyways. Malcolm, are we jumping to you, or are we out this bitch?
what's the majority consensus here?
Damn good with whatever.
What was that, Patrick? What was that?
What was what? What are you talking about?
What was this?
Did anyone else see me do that?
I hate this guy.
I think just because I need to meal prep before I leave for Guelph and before we play more Mortal Kombat, I'm gonna sacrifice my topic for this week and come up with a solid topic for next week.
Sure.
It better be solid.
Better, yeah, you said it. It's on camera.
It better make me solid. All right, we'll get out of here then. I don't know when I'm going to cut back in,
solid.
but I guess we'll figure it out. Anyways, and there you go, gentlemen. That's another one in the books for you. Another wildly adequate for you. Is there anything we want to get off our chests real quick before we skedaddle on out of here?
My shirt. Just kidding.
Not really. I'm kind of hungry, so I'm good to go eat.
Well, that's it. I got nothing either. So I guess we'll get up on out of here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, share, subscribe. We hope you enjoyed. And we'll see you in the next one.
I want
Wait,
the
isn't
balloons.
this a lethal-
I want
isn't
to
this
get
a
the
lethal-
balloons.
Wait, isn't this a lethal face card?
Balloons,
Are you-
balloons, 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 balloons.
Yeah, that's
No?
it's a lethal face card, all right.
Okay, fine. Let's give the mics back to Matt.
All right.
All right, give the mic back to Matt.
And thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Oh!